So I just want to offer some last words of wisdom on conservation. Really, the general point here is that it's a complicated issue, and it requires a lot of knowledge, and it requires a lot of study into what species are there, what ecosystem processes are happening, and what you're really trying to preserve. And that it's important that you're not making your conservation decisions based on one species or even subspecies. And so, but the key is that that we do know a lot about this, and that there is knowledge out there that can be really helpful. So for example, I just want to leave you with one example. You saw a species area curve in your homework, but this particular one is not by subplot, but by just the percentage of the total habitat. So this is just one example of how a small piece of knowledge can go a long way in helping in conservation efforts. So if you see from this plot, and it looks the same as the other species area curve that you have, but you can see that if you wipe out 100% of the habitat, you obviously wipe out 100% of the species. If you wipe out 50% of the habitat, though, you can still, this is how much you maintain. You can still maintain 90% of the original species, whereas if you wipe out 10%, you can maintain 50% of the original species, meaning that more of the original species can live on smaller parts of the land. So if you knew this and you needed to, let's say you needed to log 100 acres of land, you could choose to go into one area and log that entire 100 acres, and you're going to lose 100% of the species that are there. Or you can go into two areas and do 50 acres and 50 acres and still maintain 90% of the diversity. So it's just a simple decision of, do I do subplots or one giant plot? And the answer is you do subplots. But from the other curve you saw in the homework, there's a certain number of subplots that you should do before it kind of just evens out, and the extra subplots are not necessarily getting you any gain. So just these simple pieces of knowledge can help you make better decisions about conservation, which is why you're in Bio 100. So you've taken the first step.